The world is a beautiful place, with its vast blue oceans, clean air, and majestic forests. But unfortunately, we may soon see the end to much of what is beautiful in this world. With an ever-growing population, an increased demand for paper goods, and the prospect of mass amounts of money, deforestation by logging is tearing forests around the world apart bit by bit at an alarming rate. Deforestation is the clearance of naturally occurring forests by logging and burning. Logging in particular is one of the largest causes for the destruction of forests all around the world. As you may know, forests and the trees that inhabit them are some of the most important species of plants in the world, as they help to create much of the carbon in the atmosphere into oxygen for us to breathe. You may ask yourself, why would we cut down something that makes it possible for us to breathe on our own? Well, unfortunately, this is the million-dollar question. Deforestation occurs for many reasons. Trees are sold for fuel or as commodity, while clear land is used as pasture for livestock, plantations of commodities, and settlements. The removal of trees without sufficient reforestation has resulted in damage to habitat, biodiversity loss, and aridity. It has adverse impacts on biosequestration of atmospheric carbon dioxide. Deforested regions typically incur significant adverse soil erosion and frequently degrade into wasteland. There are many root causes of contemporary deforestation, including corruption of government institutions, the inequitable distribution of wealth and power, population growth, and overpopulation. According to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the overwhelming direct cause of deforestation is agriculture. Subsistence farming is responsible for 48% of deforestation. Commercial agriculture is responsible for 32% of deforestation. Logging is responsible for 14% of deforestation, and field wood removals make up 5% of deforestation. The picture displayed is of my house hidden away in the Smoky Mountains. It was built on a half-acre piece of land that had been cleared out due to Hurricane Andrew. The real issue is where the picture was taken from. Across from my house is a 50-acre farm. All the land used to be covered by heavy trees, but was completely wiped out in order to create this farm. They raised cattle and chickens, but also farmed their own corn, tomatoes, and other foods. Is it fair that they got to cut down all these trees even though they are farming for themselves and others? In my opinion, I think it's great that they are growing their own food rather than buying store-bought foods. But what about the damage they've done to the environment? I think author Leslie Brown makes a great point that protecting the Earth's nearly 4 billion hectares of remaining forests and replanting those that have already been lost are essential to restoring to the Earth's health. We are consuming the forest population at an alarming rate, and every tree that is cut down is contributing to this increasing deforestation rate. In 1950, about 15% of the Earth's land was covered by rainforests. In fewer than 50 years, more than half of the world's tropical rainforests have fallen victim to fire and the chainsaw, and the rate of destruction is still accelerating. Unbelievably, more than 200,000 acres of rainforest are burned every day. That is more than 150 acres lost every minute of every day. Is 78 million acres lost every year. The chart you are currently seeing is a world map from 2000 that represents the amount of forest around the world proportional to the actual country size. As you can see, much of the North and South America, along with China, Russia, and Africa, hold the most of the world's forests, with Brazil and Russia taking the top of the charts. The next picture is showing the net growth of forests around the world. The country that stands out most is obviously China, and half the size of that is the United States. China is so large because they leave their forests relatively untouched, so the amount of forests continue to grow. These are naturally occurring growth rates, and in hindsight, this may look great, but the results are far from that. This chart shows the amount of net forest loss around the globe. You can clearly see that overall, most of the countries are much bigger than they are in the net forest growth graph. Overall, South America, Africa, and the Asian Pacific make up more than 50% of the total net loss for forestry around the world. With continuing net losses compared to gains, we will inevitably run out of trees to cut down, which means that we will lose more oxygen in the world, along with creating more greenhouse gases due to no cellular respiration from trees. Deforestation is a large contributor to global warming. It is often cited as one of the major causes of the enhanced greenhouse effect. Tropical deforestation is responsible for approximately 20% of the world greenhouse gas emissions. Trees and other plants remove carbon in the form of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere during the process of photosynthesis and release oxygen back into the atmosphere during normal respiration. Only when actively growing can a tree or forest remove carbon over an annual or longer time frame. While deforestation is a global issue, for many people, it is an issue that is very close to home. For example, a small town my college resides in outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, is building a brand new dormitory, its third newest in the past 15 years. The picture you see now is a picture that was much different 3 months ago. The area you see now was a very heavily wooded area that has mostly been cleared out. Even more clearing out will be needed to be done, and most of the trees will be eliminated. This brings up a moral issue. Should the school create more housing in order to help more students gain a higher education? Or should the forest remain untouched, as it's already been torn down enough for its other construction projects such as a brand new baseball, football, and soccer field, which wiped out over 20 acres of land? I believe the answers to this question would vary by the people you ask. Those who are not directly affected by the elimination of the forest would probably approve of it. I believe this is because, as author Derek Jensen would describe it, a classic case of compartmentalism, or in easier terms, out of sight, out of mind. Many would argue that it's only a few trees and that there are plenty more around. This is the optimistic view of the issue. I believe that many of these thoughts that logging is okay come from the social influences such as the popular TV series Swamp Loggers and American Logger, which portray mass logging with a story appeal to it. As you can see in these next clips, these loggers are taking out mass amounts of land and have no signs of stopping. They build social appeal with the people through showing off their awesome machines and their so-called skills.
The Pelletier lumber business uses the most menacingly efficient tools available to harvest the wood.
We do it right from the stump to the mill. You got to be able to do it all.
These powerful machines work in concert, felling, stripping, cutting, and stacking into sprawling piles. Several of the next generation of the Pelletier family are moving up in the ranks of the business.
My son Jason, he's the oldest of the third generation.
Seems funny, you get guys up there that are 40, 50, and they said they work in the woods for 20 years, and I'm 28, and I said, oh, I'm almost there myself.
I'm hoping to see that someday that he's going to be able to run the operation. I think he's on the right track.
Basically, I'm going to go check out how the guys are doing where they're setting up their wood, because running a crane, you try to go see your branch rows ahead of time, so if you go in there in the dark, you know where to start. You know which way to swing the wood.
After 10 years running the crane, Andrew has strict requirements about the wood piles he'll be loading up to ensure maximum safety and efficiency.
I know it's a 2-year freaking habit, you like to put it, but I can't. If you could back it up 4 feet, try to back it up anyway, because for the double.
And the guys up here know better than to mess around with Andrew's demands.
Oh, they better listen. That they know. Because ain't no joke there with a bunch of trucks and try to swing wood you can't swing. Then you start breaking stuff.
It'll take about 60 gallons of fuel to keep the crane running all day.
Just stick that underneath there, Kevin. Okay.
As you can see, these companies take out mass amounts of wood at a fast pace and have been doing it for generations with no plan to stop. What these TV shows don't show are the real results of deforestation. Deforestation results in declines in biodiversity and habitats for animals to live in. It has been estimated that we are losing 137 plant, animal, and insect species every single day due to rainforest deforestation, which equates to 50,000 species a year. As you can see, much more bad than good comes from logging of the world's forests, and it has to change. Could you imagine a world without trees, oxygen, or animals? Well, if you can't now, you may soon unless a change happens now.